Do you have a favourite Spider-Man moment?
Oh, it's got to be in the animated series where he's chasing Shocker up the bell tower. It's like, overacting, thy name is Spider-Man. Because just the line's like, Shocker! I'll follow you to the ends of the earth. It's like, you go, Peter Parker, you get your man. Or potentially, it's the bit where Venom drives the car. It's like Spider-Man swinging, he just looks over and Venom's in the trucks going, hi, Spider-Man! It's like, yeah. Venom can drive. As we've discussed on this very channel before, Spider-Man is all kinds of badass, what with his ability to punch people's faces off and stick to the Hulk's biceps. But did you know that Spider-Man's powers also make him pretty good at poker, so long as he faces the right kind of opponent?
So which of his powers is it that gives him poker power?
It is his spider sense, which most people will be familiar with as the ability that allows Spider-Man to, dodge point-blank range gunfire and punches aimed towards his penis. But it also has a number of other, less well-known effects that allow Spider-Man to function in his role as Spider-Man in just a more efficient manner.
So in addition to warning him about actual threats coming for him at that moment,
yes,
what else does his spider sense do?
Well, the spider sense, it's nebulously defined, but throughout the years, the comics have made reference to other things Spider-Man's spider sense warns him about. And that includes, in addition to direct threats, potential threats. So say, for example, a person with a concealed weapon or who plans to walk up and punch him in the face. His spider sense will also give him some sort of a warning about that, which combined with Spider-Man's superior spider-like reflexes allow him to basically dodge any potential threat up to and including point-blank range gunfire to the face. Because that's one of my favourite things in the Spider-Man games, when you can start fighting enemies with guns, and you just get the little thing above your head and you just dodge the bullets, and the enemy's like, I didn't expect this.
It's also the most casual dodge ever, where he just sort of tilts to the
That's
side.
all he has to do, isn't it? He doesn't have to do a dramatic backflip over it, because his spider sense tells him, okay, the bullets are going to go in this arc, move your body this way. Because I think another aspect of Spider-Man's power set is that he has superhuman flexibility and equilibrium, which is why he can fight upside down or while kicking his legs in awkward angles all the time. I think the best representation of that is in the very newest Spider-Man game for the PS4, where I think one of your later abilities in the game is you just get a button press when someone's about to shoot you, and you just fire a web ball at their face and blind them completely. And then you have the option, once you've done that, to press another button and then immediately incapacitate that enemy. Because that you know what? That's what Spider-Man should be doing. His power set is such that you should never be able to land a clean hit on him. And I think there are comics where it says, even when Spider-Man's blind or fighting at night, he'll always be able to kick someone's ass, because his spider sense basically just gives him an edge that is almost unbeatable. To the point where master martial artists in the Marvel Universe have said Spider-Man is theoretically the strongest hand-to-hand combatant in the universe, because his spider sense makes him unbeatable, because you can't land a hit on him. Which, combined with his super spider strength, which we've talked about before, he constantly holds back, basically allows him to end any fight in one hit. It's obviously he just has to hold back his strength. He doesn't kill people, basically. Which is why I love, again, that new Spider-Man game where when you get towards the end of that game, 'cause you've seen me play it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because I love all that shit. And you've seen oh yeah, Brad, here's some high-level Spider-Man play. And you are just, you're never getting hit. You never touch the floor. You never get hit. And you are constantly just backflipping everywhere while simultaneously shooting web in all directions at once, while drop-kicking people 1,000 foot through the air.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I would advise anyone who wants to watch something amazing to give the controller in that game to someone who plays fighting games.
Yes.
Because, Karl, your reflexes for the Spidey sense are beyond what I can do.
Because it's so easy.
He's just there. Spider-Man just looks like he's glitching through the air.
He's Spider-Manning through the air. That's what he's doing. But that's the thing, Spider-Man realistically should never be getting hit in anything.
Yeah.
That's why I love that game, because there is no attack in that game you can't dodge. And as too fucking right, Spider Sense would not allow it. But here's where we have to delve deep into the comics to get to the dumb shit, because it's not just direct physical threats that Spider-Man's Spider Sense allows him to dodge and avoid. Some of them are more existential threats, his identity being discovered, because it's alluded to in one comic that the reason Spider-Man is never photographed without his mask on is because his spider sense warns him if someone's nearby with a camera.
That is dumb.
Yeah, that is dumb. But obviously his spider sense allows that's a threat to his identity and potentially his person, his loved ones, so it warns him about it. So he knows when there's someone with a camera nearby who might capture an image of him without his mask on. Also, another, I think as well, it's said that he can use his sticky powers to keep his mask on his face.
Oh, I've heard
so
that
if people
one,
try and pull his mask off, it just sticks to his face and they can't pull it off, which means that Spider-Man, unless he wants to be, will never be fucking unmasked in anything. So I think that he needs to go one step further and get that Batman thing where he has like the taser underneath the mask that just tases people for no reason. But in addition to that, have you ever wondered why Spider-Man can, like, swing through New York City without ever, like, falling on his ass?
Is that spider sense as well?
Yes, his spider sense also, like, guides where he throws his webs and tells him, like, where is an anchor point that you won't rip off and fall like a jackass, because that'd just be embarrassing. So that's the reason why he can basically swing through the city at 100 miles an hour without even looking where he's going. Because his spider sense will tell him, or guide his like actions and say, okay, this is where the nearest anchor point is that will allow you to do what you're doing right now. Which allows him to both travel through the city safely while also not doing any damage to it. Because I'm guessing J. Jonah Jameson have a fucking field day if there were loads of people saying their windows got smashed by Spider-Man. So imagine how dangerous that'd be. In like New York City, Spider-Man's like 300 foot in the air and he's ripping pieces of buildings off that would fall down onto a street below. That's fucking dangerous, and his spider sense warns him about that as well.
Yeah, Stan Lee's not always there to pull people out of the way.
Exactly, no, he can't do that. He can't be there all the time to do that shit. So another aspect of his power is that he never does that shit either. Because I think that's a question someone asked a writer once, like, oh, why doesn't Spider-Man like rip pieces of buildings off? And he thinks, oh, his spider sense allows him to find the strongest anchor point at all times. So he never damages buildings. And his webbing is like bioorganic, so it disappears after a couple of hours. So it doesn't leave behind any mess. Which is how they explain how, like, criminals that he captures, the police go get them. Because basically they just stand around, wait for the webbing to weaken, and then just, like, arrest the guy. Yeah. Which makes Spider-Man sound adorable, because his powers basically mean that he's like a real-life spider, in that he never leaves behind any trace except getting rid of all the bad shit. Do you know when people say, oh, spiders are good in your house, because like, they eat all the creepy crawlies and keep themselves. That's what Spider-Man's doing. Yeah, he doesn't do any damage, he doesn't cause anyone harm, he just, like, stops criminals and disappears. Just goes away. Good on you, Spider-Man. You're a good boy. He's a good. That's why he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Which obviously he wouldn't be that friendly if he's ripping like gargoyles off of like the fucking passing buildings that then fall down and crush cars with people inside, is it? No, that doesn't happen because of Spider-Man's spider sense, apparently.
The thing about concealed weapons, does that mean if he walks into a room where like loads of people are carrying, he's immediately warned who has a gun?
Yes, Spider-Man can do that, yeah.
So overpowered.
Yeah, he can tell like if someone's got a gun, because obviously it's a potential threat to him and other people, and that's what his like spider sense allows him to detect.
See, I'm waiting for MCU Spider-Man to get to that point where we understand of his powers and have the Iron Spider suit.
Oh, he's just built it. Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Just like instant death mode.
Well, think about it. It shows you this in the Tobey Maguire movie, where his spider sense activates for the first time, and it goes haywire, and it overreacts to everything, and it detects everything from a spitball to a punch as a potential threat. Because that's, if people don't get that scene, that's what it's doing. When it's zooming right, it's not just showing you cool slow-mo stuff, it's showing you all the stuff the spider sense at that moment perceives as a potential threat, including the spitball, the fly, and the fist. And obviously, as Spider-Man develops his skills, he learns to only react to like gunfire and people shoot him in the face.
So to get a bit closer to the title of the video,
yes,
how does his spider sense actually help in the game of poker?
Because Spider-Man's spider sense is so nebulous and abstract in its definition in the comics that it is noted as protecting even threats to his wallet. Like, what a bro fucking power this is. As if it wasn't OP enough protecting him from direct and potential physical threats and threats to his privacy, it also protects his bank balance. Spider sense, man. It's the broest of all powers.
I'd love it if it helped with picking up chicks.
Like, we must do.
We can go up to a bar and he's going to introduce himself with like a particular line. It's like, no, don't use that line. Yeah. Use this line.
Well, think, what would he do in Spider-Man 3? Look how much he impresses Gwen Stacy, those dance moves, man. Do you think the spider sense helps him pick the dance moves? Like, what dance moves will make you look less like a jackass? Because everyone in the bar loves it. Obviously, we as an audience think that scene's funny and stupid and hilarious, but I don't think there's anyone in that bar who's not impressed by Spider-Man in that moment, and I think his spider sense guided him. I think he must guide him in all aspects of his day-to-day life. He must guide his hips when he's having sex. Like, Mary Jane must think he's the best sex she's ever had, because the spider sense is telling him if he's going to do something wrong. I'm just now thinking, though, Spider-Man's spider sense is like, that abstract in its applications. Does it help him in the bedroom? Because obviously, if he's getting down and dirty with Mary Jane, he's going to do something that she doesn't like, that would cause her to lash out and get annoyed at him. Would his spider sense tell him where to go? Does it guide him directly towards the G-spot? Is Spider-Man the best at sex in the Marvel Universe? Well, we don't know, because that's never been confirmed or denied in any comic. But judging by the fact Black Cat keeps coming back for more, I'm going to say he is. Black Cat, in one of the games, the Spider-Man game again, she steals millions of dollars worth of stuff just to lead Spider-Man to a new suit. and gives him a new suit because he fucked her that good. Spider-Man got in there so hard and so thoroughly that Black Cat willingly gives away millions of dollars worth of stuff she stole and gives him a new suit so she can go get back her old suit. Damn. Spider-Man got game, man.
I'm thinking we talk a little bit about poker and we come back to best superhero sex person.
Okay.
Because I think that's a topic we could definitely cover.
It's got to be Spider-Man. The spider sense must tell him. It must guide his hips.
But I'm thinking we can debate whether or not Mr. Fantastic is also going to be quite pretty good.
There we go.
Which is why we need to get to it.
Okay, we'll do that at the end. Right.
So is Spider Sense protecting his wallet?
Yes.
Is this something that you've basically taken 2 steps forward after learning, or does he actually play poker?
No, Spider-Man does play poker, yes. And this particular aspect of his spider sense does come in very handy. And Spider-Man himself explains it when there's a comic where he's playing like poker with the Thing, because in the Marvel universe, it's stuff like the Thing has like monthly, weekly poker games that various superheroes attend. And the Kingpin turns up to one game and like obviously beats everybody except for Spider-Man, who using his spider sense can tell when Kingpin's bluffing. And Kingpin gets super fucking salt about it. And everyone's like, oh wow, Spider-Man's really fucking good at this game. Because Spider-Man says like, yeah, my spider sense won't let any harm befall me. So I know that you're bluffing and that I'd lose this hand, so I win. And Kingpin's like, oh fuck's sake.
I love this concept. Like, there's another article that we'll do at some point, I know, about Cyclops being good at pool.
Yeah.
It's when a superhero is good at something that you wouldn't expect them to be, because they're like tangentially their power helps them with it.
For that, if people wonder what that is, it's because Cyclops is part of his power set is he has an innate understanding of geometry, which is how he can reflect his blaster bolts off the walls, and that makes him really good at pool. I think there's even one animated film where he's playing pool with Wolverine, and Wolverine's like, oh, for fuck's sake, because Cyclops basically pots every ball at once, and Wolverine's like, no, he tries to blow the ball back out the hole.
I also imagine Captain America will be really good at pool.
No, Captain America, it's not a power he has, it's just something he's learned, and thanks to his super soldier brain, allows him to instantly calculate the angles when he throws his shield.
Yeah, I bet there's superheroes who have things that they're surprisingly good at when they shouldn't be.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because I think in one comic, Spider-Man is described as, he's the world's best gymnast. He could do any gymnastic routine, flawlessly first time, thanks to his, spider sense and, super spider reflexes and flexibility. It's just obviously choose to fight crime. And there's another character who I fucking love, Tony Masters, Taskmaster, because his power is photographic reflexes, which allow him to replicate any action he sees. Which means that, say he watches a Bruce Lee movie, you can instantaneously copy all of Bruce Lee's moves. And he basically uses that to become a mercenary. But sometimes when he needs to make money, he just hustles people at various games. So obviously he can master it in a few seconds. And his origin story is amazing because he watches a high diver and learns, oh wow, I can copy that dive perfectly. But he doesn't look at someone swimming. So he does the dive and then nearly drowns.
The spider sense is sounding a bit broken right now.
Oh yeah, it's OP as shit.
What limitations does it have?
There are a couple noted in the comics. One is that if it's a particular extreme threat, it can cause Spider-Man some discomfort, because obviously it makes it, the stronger the threat is, the stronger the reaction, and something that's basically immediate life imperiling will cause him immense pain until he moves out of the way. And another weakness of it is that it only works against things or people Spider-Man actively considers to be a threat. So, for example, Aunt May does not set off his spider sense, which is why I'm going to assume in some comics and in Spider-Man Homecoming, Aunt May walks in on Spider-Man changing. Because as we've established, the spider sense allows Spider-Man to know when someone might discover his secret identity, but he doesn't see Aunt May as a threat. She wants to discover it. Same thing with Ned. Which is why I'm going to say. I don't think the filmmakers have ever really talked about that, but that's how I read that scene. It's well, why wouldn't Spider-Man with his all-encompassing radar spider sense not know someone's right there? Well, it's his best mate. Why would he think his best mate can pose a threat to him?
Yeah.
So even if he discovers his identity, he's not going to grass him up. And that's how I read that scene. And I think Aunt May specifically being one of the few people who doesn't set off his spider sense is mentioned in the animated 90s TV show, where someone assumes the form of Aunt May, and Peter Parker's really confused why Aunt May keeps setting off his spider sense, because it never happens. And that's how he realised, oh no, it's not Aunt May, it's someone disguised as Aunt May. And in a situation like that, he can't really pass what the spider sense is trying to tell him, so it just confuses him. And again, that's another weakness that people can take advantage of. And I think one of the other ones is that Venom specifically doesn't set it off, because Venom was mentally linked with Spider-Man when he was wearing the symbiote suit, so Venom doesn't set off his spider sense, which is why Venom's one of his most dangerous adversaries, because his most useful power doesn't work against Venom. which means like Venom can get the drop on him, which is why in all of like the TV shows that they fight, Venom always sneaks up behind him because he's the only person who can.
So does that mean if a hero went rogue or had reason to, they would probably be able to get at least a few punches in on Spider-Man?
Yes, and it's noted that like Spider-Man's it doesn't work against like people he considers allies. So if say Wolverine wanted to punch Spider-Man in the dick, his spider sense wouldn't warn him about that. He might be able to dodge it because of his reflexes, but his spider sense wouldn't help. And to move this back to poker, like while he can detect when the Kingpin is bluffing, he can't detect when his friends are bluffing, which is hilarious because in one comic, Spider-Man loses his spider sense and gets invited to a poker game with the Avengers, and he asks them, why don't I ever get invited to these things? And they went, oh, it's because your spider sense would let you cheat. And we're all very aware of that fact. And then Wolverine chimes in with, also you talk too much, because you know, that's classic Wolverine. And Spider-Man has to explain, oh no, my powers don't work against you guys, because you're all my friends. So it doesn't actually let me tell when you guys are bluffing. And I think Spider-Man has the realization, oh, I wasn't ever invited to any of these poker games with my friends because I didn't tell them how my powers work. And that's like the most Spider-Man thing ever, isn't it? Which means that he probably just spent many an evening sat on his own, wondering why none of his friends wanted to hang out with him because he didn't tell them how his powers worked. Because they all assumed that his spider sense would let him cheat at poker, even though it wouldn't, because of he considers them all to be his friends.
That means if they had like a smash night, they wouldn't invite him either,
No,
because they think he'd just win.
He would always be able to air dodge into dunk every time. Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man would kick ass at Smash. He'd kick ass at all fighting games. And because he can predict whatever you're going to do.
What you should do is you should bet on it, because once the money's on the line, it then becomes a threat to him, which means he then has to win.
Here's the thing, but that's just, it's so Spider-Man it hurts. The idea that, his own friends wouldn't invite him to, their weekly poker nights because they were afraid of him using his powers to win, even though he wouldn't. So he just sat at home on his own, going, guess I'll just, tinker with my spider tracers, I guess. And just sit there doing nothing. Oh, poor Spider-Man. I hope they put that in one of the games. The next game is just, the reason none of the Avengers or, anyone is in that new Spider-Man game for PS4 is because they all hate him because of his spider sense. Because Spider-Man's got really pissed off after he broke up with Mary Jane and just stole all their money. All I can now think about, though, is how hilarious it would be if there was an arc in the comics where Spider-Man went rogue, but he didn't go rogue, as in turn into a criminal. He just decided that, fuck this, I'm going to, I hate all of the other superheroes and I'm going to just hustle them all at poker. And he just, wins, Baxter Tower off Mr. Fantastic and shit. And it's just Spider-Man just sat there with, every, world-changing device and piece of technology at, the disposal of all the heroes that he just won it in poker games.
Now, I want him to basically quit superheroing and just start doing other things that he uses his spider sense for, like if he became a stand-up comedian. Whenever someone heckles him...
You can always tell when a joke's going to bomb.
Yeah, and if someone heckles him, he knows the perfect response, because otherwise he looks bad.
Yeah.
So...
we don't know the limits.
Yeah.
It's never fully defined, but the fact that it allows him to do shit know when people are there with cameras makes me think, that is so all-encompassing, it can basically protect him from anything. Should we maybe turn that into the last bit? What else could Spider-Man do with his powers?
We could do.
And keep talking about that, because I think that's funnier, then we'd be less likely to get demonetised.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so let's do that. So Brad, let's zero in specifically on Spider-Man's spider sense and just discuss the other shit you can probably do using it, because, if it can, protect him from something as, abstract and innocent as a person with a camera, you can tell him that there's a guy on the 3rd floor of a building 3 miles away with, a long zoom lens that might get a picture of your face. Don't take your mask off here. What else could his spider sense help him do? Because I'm now thinking, could Spider-Man play the stock market? Because obviously, if he can win at poker, so it's a threat to his wallet, would it tell him which stocks to pick so he wouldn't lose all his money?
Well, that sounds to me like if he knows how his spider sense works and he can manufacture a way where the result of something would be a threat to him, that he would then automatically be good at it.
No, it's not even that. It's just
Well, what I mean there is, if he put a quid on the stock market, nothing would happen. But if he put every single penny on the stock market...
he'd be left destitute. Yeah. Obviously, that's a threat to his well-being. Would his spider sense tell him which stock to play? If he can't do that, could he go to a casino and bet? Would it tell him, which, if on the roulette wheel, for example, which one to bet on so he won't lose?
Well, this is why it's so nebulously defined, because you'd assume if he can't perceive a threat from someone who's a friend, it's not a premonition.
No.
It doesn't give him the future. It just weighs up everything around him and gives him the best estimate of what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I think the spider sense is one of the least defined powers in all of Marvel fiction, because it's basically whatever the writer wants it to warn Spider-Man about, it'll warn him about. So I'm now thinking, if he can detect bluffing, can he detect when someone's lying? Which means, like, obviously, he now becomes an amazing fucking, like, interrogator or, like, lawyer or some shit. Because, like, think about if, like, She-Hulk needs a paralegal, who she bring in? Matt Murdock, Spider-Man as well. Imagine, that's an unbeatable legal team. Like, 'cause Matt Murdock can hear your heartbeat, can't he? And he can tell if you're lying or if or he can, like, detect using his superior senses, minute, like, changes in, like, your perspiration levels to see if, like, you feel nervous or whatever. Combined with Spider-Man, who can, like, confirm for a fact, oh yeah, the guy's definitely lying. So imagine that. Imagine bringing, like, She-Hulk bringing Spider-Man in as an expert witness. It's like, okay, Mr. Spider-Man, is this guy lying? Yes. How can you tell? Spider-Sense. Well, fuck me.
The thing there, though, is it threats, like, because in a courtroom, a guy's been arrested. Is that guy a threat to Spider-Man in that scenario?
Yeah, but he's a threat to the city if he's a criminal. And if he's a threat to the city...
so badly defined.
Yeah, that means it's so interesting to talk about. Because, like, think about in, like, Spider-Man 3, like, the Sam Raimi one, where, like, the Green Goblin managed to hit him off the thing. Spider-Sense to warn him back, so obviously Harry's his friend. But later in the movie, it allows him to dodge the bombs. Because he sees him as a threat. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, it's so weird. Well, let's move away from that and just say in his day-to-day superhero, and let's say Spider-Man encounters someone who's been shot. Would Spider-Man be able to perform impromptu surgery on that person? Because obviously, would his spider sense guide him to not let that person die, even though he doesn't know what he's doing? So let's say he's trying to remove the bullet. Would his spider sense warn him about infection, or whether or not he's going to, like, nick an artery or something like that? Would it help him in that regard? We don't know.
Yeah, because if the person dies, someone will say Spider-Man tried to help him, the guy died.
Yeah.
That's Spider-Man's fault.
Yeah,
that's his reputation damage.
It is, yeah.
Right there.
And if his reputation's damaged, obviously his spider sense can't allow that. Because Spider-Man would see that as a threat. They're all big things. So let's narrow it down to, like, the petty inconveniences of life. Because there are things in life that aren't necessarily, like, all that bothersome in the grand scheme of things. But I'm going to guess the spider sense will still warn Spider-Man. Do you think he ever gets paper cuts? So obviously it's not going to kill him, is it? But at the same time, it's painful.
Yeah.
And something painful is something you want to avoid, and thereby the spider sense should warn him about it. Does, like, Spider-Man ever get hangnails? Does he ever, like, stub his toe? I bet he don't.
Do you reckon if he ever tries to drink, he'll spend the entire night with his spider sense to tell him to stop?
Well, I think it said in one thing he gets drunk, he can still swing home. Yeah. Like, his spider sense, basically, there's one, maybe not he's drunk, but he gets knocked out or something.
Yeah.
He can fight when he's knocked out. Because his spider sense, like, overrides his central nervous system, allows him to fight while unconscious. Brad, you're thinking too big, though. Narrow it down to minor inconveniences in your everyday life that Spider-Man doesn't have to deal with thanks to his spider sense.
I always feel sorry for people when they snort laugh.
Oh, my
Because
bad.
everyone makes fun of them. They're having a laugh, they're enjoying themselves, and everyone starts mocking. Spider-Man, his spider sense would be like, just quiet your laughing down a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You're going to get mocked.
It'll tell him. Oh, I think it warns him as well. Like, do you know when he, like, broke up with Mary Jane or some shit? When he's walking down the road, I think it warns him if she's about to walk out of shop. Like, oh no, awkward encounter with the ex-girlfriend. Spider sense to the rescue.
It doesn't
Straight
warn him
down.
though if he's got a woman on his arm, because then he looks like he's a...
I don't know. I think it would. It'd warn him. Or like when J. Jonah Jameson's on, like, a rampage in the office, it'll tell him. It's like, oh, Spider-Man, just stay in the toilet for another 5 minutes, like, so Jonah can just leave the office.
His spider sense just makes him shit a little bit more.
Or do you think, like, when, say he's at the office Christmas party, he's going to embarrass himself or some shit, it just tells him not to do that. So it was like,
What if you had a label sticking out?
it must do, because that's embarrassing. Also, it's irritating. What about when he's getting a haircut? See, during they nick the back of your neck and they're getting a haircut. I think it warns him about it and he can just move out of the way.
Or I mean, the same vein, it warns him if they're going to cut, like, a bit wrong.
Yeah.
So we've all had bad haircuts.
No,
Spider-Man
it
knows.
I think it'd warn him before he walked into the shop.
You'll walk in and say, who's on today? Oh, it's Gina.
I think it'd warn him before he even sat down in the chair. I think he'd walk past the barber shop, look at the sign, think about getting the haircut, and then his spider sense would go off like a fire alarm in his head and go, oh shit, I'm going to get a terrible haircut.
Unless his spider sense doesn't tell him exactly what. He thinks it's a terrible haircut. Inside is like Norman Osborn with a pair of shears, just ready to take his head off.
It's so good. But it must just protect him from everything. And yet, he's still the superhero who struggles the most. It's like, how does he have a bad job? If, like, I think as well, his spider sense also lets him take good photos. So that's how he gets all the good photos. Obviously, his instincts let him know when he looks...
Just explain everything
It's
with it.
so good. And yet he still sucks ass at everything else. How could someone be that bad at life? Do you get else of his excuses? Because he's always running late to Spider-Man. Like, his spider sense must, like, guide the excuse to be the one that the person's most likely to believe, which is why everyone forgives him for being late all the time.
I think just forgive him because he's a sad act who can't get anything done properly.
Oh man, have you heard, like, the petition that's going on to give Tobey Maguire a cameo as a pizza delivery man? in the next Spider-Man movie.
I heard that Tom Holland said he'd quite like Tom Maguire to come back as Uncle Ben.
Oh, that'd
in
be
like
great.
A flashback.
That'd be so fucking cool. Like they do that in all the shows, don't they? Like they always they pay homage to the old actor. I love it when they do that. But
pizza delivery guy would be hilarious.
It would, but
pizza time.
Because that means that he's still working as a pizza delivery guy, like 40 years old. It's like he's never moved on. Oh.